year's gavel came down, and he pointed it at me. The year was 1978. I was on a cruise sponsored by a film club that I belonged to, and I had just won a morning of tennis and lunch with Charlton Heston at his house. Now, Charlton Heston was a big star in those days. He played Moses in the Ten Commandments, and he won the Academy Award as Best Actor in Ben Hur. And you know what I paid for it? $40. $40. So I asked other people on the cruise, why didn't you bid on this? And they said, well, it's tennis. We don't know anything about tennis. I said, I don't know anything about tennis either, but it's with Charlton Heston, and it's at his house. A couple of weeks later, I got a call from Chuck's assistant. All of his friends called him Chuck. And she asked me what my tennis rating was. Tennis rating? People have a tennis rating? I told her I didn't have any idea what it was, but it probably wasn't all that good. I didn't want to tell her that it probably was somewhere between awful and really, really terrible. She told me that we were going to play doubles, so I should bring a partner. And I brought my son, decided to bring my son Grady, who was 18 at the time. And we set up a date and a time for the match. We had a couple of months before we had to make the long drive from Medford, Oregon, where we live, to Hollywood for the match, and we practiced every day. Now, I won't say that we got to be really great tennis players, but we could hit the ball back and forth, and we actually had some pretty long volleys once in a while. But we were still pretty nervous when we made that sharp left-hand turn off of Coldwater Canyon Road into the driveway of Charlton Heston. We came to a big black gate. A voice came out the gate that said, "Who are you?" We told him, he said, "Okay, come on in, but don't get out of the car." Now, he didn't really have to tell us that, because as soon as we got through the gate, we were surrounded with 3 big black Doberman pinschers, barking and snarling and showing us their teeth. And we would not go out under any circumstances. But at some point, someone came out, called off the hounds, and Charlton Heston came strolling out of the house in his spotless white tennis outfit. He said, do you want to change into your tennis clothes? Tennis clothes? These are tennis clothes. We were dressed pretty much the way I am now. He said okay, and welcomed us to what he called the house that Ben Hur built. He took us down to the tennis court, introduced us to his friend Jack, who was an airline pilot and who would be Grady's partner. I would be Chuck's partner, and Chuck, would serve first. Now, in doubles, the person who is not serving stands close to the net with the idea that he or she will hit the ball back over the net in case the other team returns the serve. I was watching Chuck get ready to serve, and he put down his racket and came up to me and said, "Don't look back at me. Your job is to look straight ahead, pay attention, and hit the ball back over the net if they return my serve." I said, okay. And that's what I did. Well, all except for hitting the ball back over the net. A little trouble with that. Pretty soon it was my turn to serve. I threw the ball up, hit it as hard as I could, watched it swim towards the net, and hit Charlton Heston right in the back of the head. He turned around and glared at me, but he didn't say anything. From then on, though, he watched me when I served. And towards the end of the match, he was clear at the very edge of the net, all crouched down, and watching my every move. At some point during the match, I hit the ball just right, or really just wrong, and it sailed clear over the house that Ben Hur built. Now, the house that Ben Hur built, at least part of it, is on stilts. And it hovers over Coldwater Canyon, a deep and steep ravine full of trees and bushes and rocks. Chuck ran out of the tennis court, grabbed a ladder, put it up against the house, and we all scurried up the ladder to see if we could find the tennis ball. I had no idea how we would have gone down into the canyon, retrieved the ball, and brought it back up. But it didn't matter. We didn't find it. Later on in the match, Chuck and I got a couple of games behind, and it got really obvious that he did not want to lose. So he started hitting the ball to Grady's weak point, his backhand. Now, to say at a weak point is kind of misleading, because that sort of intimates that he had some good points, which he didn't. Neither one of us did, really. But Chuck kept hitting it to his backhand, which was the weakest of his weak points, and we got ahead again pretty fast. After the match, he took us up to a sunroom in his house, and we had sandwiches and strawberries and Heineken that he had in a keg there. And we talked about my favorite topic, and I kind of like to think it was his too, making movies. After an hour, he said he had to leave, and we had to leave too, of course. But we left with an autographed picture and a cherry blow of memories. I met Chuck a few times after that at various events in Hollywood, movie stuff I like to go to. He always made it a point to come find me, ask me how I was, and what was wrong, which I thought was very gracious of him, and I still do think that. I have a friend named Hal, who is a disc jockey. And Hal got the chance a few years after the match to interview Chuck. And Hal asked him, I have a friend who played tennis with you, Greg McKean. Do you remember him? And Chuck said, oh, Greg McKean, sure, I remember him. A really nice guy. Terrible tennis but a really nice guy. As I said before, all his friends called him Chuck, and so did I. But never to his face. When I looked into that rugged face and listened to that deep, Moses-like voice, I called him Mr. Heston, sir.